welcome back. This is day 2 on our topic through Hebrews 11, faith. And today we get into a very kind of sticky situation, right? Because we are going to talk about science, right? The creation. Let's read verse 3 and what it tells us. So, by faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. So, our chapter on faith begins with our understanding of creation. So, what about evidence for creation? Consider with me quickly the beginning of the universe in light of the basic laws of science. We know that the universe had a beginning from simple number theory. If you start counting at a negative infinity, it is impossible to arrive at 2000 something. So there must be a start. At some point, time began. And at some point, space came into being, and matter and energy. So let's apply the law of science. Conservation of mass. So where did all the matter come from? There is no scientific law, nor test, nor observation that can validate nothing creating something. And the Big Bang Theory offers no scientific explanation for nothing becoming something. It had to happen. It had to. And yet it violates conservation of mass. Unless there is something outside this universe that created the mass from nothing, next law of science is conservation of energy. Again, energy could not have existed for eternity past, so it must have had a beginning. And the Big Bang offers no scientific explanation for nothing creating energy. It had to happen, and yet it violates conservation of energy. Unless something outside the universe created energy from nothing. And then one more scientific law, the entropy. All things naturally move towards disorder. Now the universe has a phenomenal amount of order in it. So where did it come from? If the universe is a closed system, then the scientific law insists that something outside of the universe must have added it. So in order to be an atheist and still believe the laws of science, then you must believe that the major scientific laws were broken at some point by nothing. For the atheist, nothing created time, space, matter, energy, and order. Now, science does not lead you to that conclusion, though. That conclusion violates scientific law. So believing it requires faith. That is faith in nothing. But what if you trusted the scientific law? Well, they all tell you that time, space, matter, energy, and order must come from something. They cannot create themselves. However, there is nothing in the known universe that can create them. So, it would require something outside the known universe to create them. And so we're going to read Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Let's break it down. Beginning, that's time. God, that's something outside the universe. Created, that word in Hebrew literally means to make something out of nothing. The heavens, that's space. And earth is matter. So God outside the universe created time, space, and matter. And what happens next? God said, "Let there be light." Genesis 1:3. And what is that? That's energy. And the very next thing that God did, he said, "Separate the light from the darkness." Genesis 1:4. And that, my friends, is order. Time, space, matter, energy, order. How is it that Genesis 1, written well over 3,000 years ago, gives a direct explanation for the problem brought up by the laws of science, some of them formulated in the last 200 years. That's pretty amazing. Now, I do recognize that there is much more to the science and God question, but I'm not going to get into that today. But when it comes to faith, we should all recognize our options here. The universe as we know it either came from nothing or from something. The laws of science tell us nothing cannot make something. So option one is put your faith in nothing. And it breaks the laws of science, and there is no atheist solution for this apart from the sheer faith. But you can choose to believe it on faith. Option two. Option two is put your faith in a creator. No laws of science broken, but it still does take faith. So back to Hebrews 11. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. Many of us believe that, but not everyone agrees. I read a story in the Jesus Freak books, and it's about a young man, a Jewish boy, by descent, but not by faith. He was in fact an atheist. As a boy, he grew up in a bitter poverty through World War I in Romania. And sometime later, he wrote these words. He wrote, "It was not just that I did not believe in God or Christ. I hated these notions, considering them harmful for the human mind." Although he was an atheist, he admits that he was sad that there was no God. He even prayed once, speaking to the God that he didn't believe in. His prayer was, "If perchance you exist, which I contest, it is your duty to reveal yourself to me." That was his prayer. But meanwhile, in a small village far away from where this Jewish boy was at, an old carpenter was also praying. Only that his prayer came with faith. And he prayed that God would let him lead one Jew to Christ before he died. So what happened to the two men after they each prayed? Well, with some 12,000 little villages in Romania, the young atheist felt irresistibly drawn to that one little town. And strangely enough, it was the little town that led him directly to the old man's house. The man gave him a Bible, one that he had prayed over for quite some time. The young atheist was Richard Wurmbrand. He read the Bible and believed it. He found faith. Not faith in the impossible, nor faith in the make-believe. He found faith in something beyond what he could see. Faith in God. What happened to Mr. Wurmbrand? Well, come back tomorrow. I'll let you know what happens tomorrow. For now, I encourage you to read Hebrews 11 and consider what you believe the difference that faith makes in your own life. I will see you here again tomorrow night. I love you. God loves you. God